Welcome to day one of the XPT experience. We're in Malibu, California. Gabby Reece.
I'm Gabby.
DJ Nestler.
Laird.
And we're hanging out with Laird Hamilton. We're at their house, this beautiful pool back here, and I'm lucky enough that this is my second time to be swimming in this pool, kind of experiencing what's going on. A lot of pieces have come together for me and my journey through fitness. I've been through a lot of sports, a lot of training methodologies, and just starting to understand how down regulation, mindfulness, breath work, and performance kind of all play a role together. And the first time we were out here, I kind of went home and knew something happened to me, but wasn't really sure exactly what it was. We're back again. We get to talk to these guys and really hammer this thing home. We're gonna start with you though. These two chose you to be here to figure out, take this brain and turn it into kind of an experience and a certification so we can start to put some real methods to kind of the madness and understanding how we can roll this out to the general public and understanding what are the real core principles of this. What's a little bit of your background and how you got to this point?
My background is all in sports performance. So I've been a sports performance coach for 11 years. I've worked in the college setting, the private setting, primarily with athletes.
Yeah.
And then I got connected with XPT a little over a year ago. And my career started to transition from training athletes to the education side. I was running a few sports performance facilities. So I was running internship programs, running coach education programs. And then I started my own business, which was geared towards educating coaches and trainers.
And what was interesting for me was you took your usual way of doing something and you adjusted, you adapted. And that's something we talk a lot about here. Life is about, really, it's about adapting.
Yeah.
And so you were attacking, and then all of a sudden you decided, we had a conversation, okay, I'm gonna try it differently. And to watch you exponentially improve your performance, this is for me what is so exciting about watching people, make that progress. So it was really great. But for me, as far as coaching, it's from being around I've had great coaches.
Yeah.
Out of a necessity, I think, to try to keep evolving as an athlete. I'm in the ocean, I'm in the water, and so you better have a relationship with the importance of air.
Yeah.
Like, I have a good idea of how important air is. There's air above the surface, there's no air below. Yeah. And when you're down there, all you want to do is be up there. And so I think I established kind of that relationship early. Now I didn't, and I've been exposed to pranayama and apnea and a bunch of free diving techniques. People are like, hey, I'm not good with this under here. This is danger. And that's a big transformative place. That's why there's so much transformation in that environment, because you're going over some deep-rooted genetics.
Yeah.
We really look at breathing from three different categories, like three-dimensional. There's the biochemical, which we're talking about your CO2, your oxygen, and we can test that, and we can see where people are with their CO2 tolerance, and that's a big thing that Patrick McCune talks about, and a big influence from him. We also look at the biomechanical, so actual ventilation mechanics, and is there dysfunction there, just like we look at movement. When we look at someone for movement, we don't look at how well they can move under a bar at a 1 RM, we look at how they move normally during the day, and then we start to add intensity and add load and add different kind of elements of chaos. So we do the same thing for breath work. And then the other aspect of it would be psychophysiological, which is really just how your mind is kind of influencing your breath, your emotions, because our breath is associated with different things. We have specific patterns that we go into when we're stressed, or when we have anxiety, or when we have fear. So we create these associations with breath. So it's kind of looking at it from those three pieces, and then we can assess it. And then what I teach is, we're trying to correct overall breathing, because we breathe 14 to 20,000 times a day.
Yeah.
So, and people who overbreathe are breathing 30 to 40,000 times a day. So we look at it for how you're breathing during the day, how you're breathing when you sleep, how you're breathing for overall general health to build that foundation, and then we can build the next pieces on top. How you breathe during exercise, when you do intense breath work that's used to create adaptations, hypoxic training, all those other pieces can be added on top, but it's really starting with the foundation of breath and understanding where there can be dysfunction, and then identifying that dysfunction and trying to correct it. A lot of the people, your viewers are probably high strung, like to train hard, like to push hard. Everyone who comes to XPT, that's who they are. So we like to teach people how to downregulate. And then when they can control that foundation, then once we've got a good foundation of breathing mechanics, we can breathe into our belly, we can breathe through our nose, then we can teach them how to do it faster, how to do it more intensely. And that's where the upregulation comes in. And we can do that stuff like you did today in the breath work, before you train, when you wake up in the morning. And really it's just about increasing the intensity of the breath. So we do super ventilation, which you can do just really fast breathing. There's a lot of different patterns to do that. Or you can do it through breath holds. If you do maximum breath holds, anything that's providing a stressor is going to start to upregulate the system. So it's kind of, we look at it for, if we're doing a maximum breath hold, it's going to be more upregulation. If we're doing sub-maximal breath hold, it'll be a little more downregulation. Because you have pain in your foot, we're not doing any damage to your foot. You're not going to, there's nothing long-term happening, but you're feeling these sensations. So can you overcome those? And we saw some people today who immediate response is, and they can't get the tension out of their face. They can't slow their breath. They're overwhelmed. So I think, and that's again where we see people who have major breakthroughs. There's a lot of emerging science on saunas, ice baths, and contrast. And I think it's because more people are starting to do it, so now they're actually starting to look at it. And they're starting to look back at societies who've been doing this all the time. We're seeing research coming out on, the Finnish people who do it, and they've seen that the more often they were using the sauna, the lower risk they had for strokes, heart attacks, all-cause mortality.
That's my favorite word, by the way.
All-cause mortality?
I just love that word. But as soon as I heard that word, I go, that's one of my favorite words in the world. Means pretty much any way you can die.
Yeah,
okay,
any way you can die, you're less likely to do it if you spend more time in there.
We have a lot of programming on the cold side, negative, you're going to catch a cold, you have a cold. These are all very negative things. So we connect negativity to cold. Heat is warmth. Yeah. So that's where the cold, that's why I think the ice is, and the intensity, 15, 20 minutes in a sauna, 3 to 5 minutes in a cold. I mean, this is, 3 to 5 times more intense. Yeah. And it has a bunch of negative things programming that we're going against. We're going against a lot of programming in here, not in here, but in here. And so we're overriding that.
A lot of the stuff with heat shock and cold shock proteins is that we have these things that are activated by being in extreme heat or extreme cold, and they help us deal with those temperatures. But they're also responsible for a whole bunch of other really, really important things in the body. Yeah. A lot of them are like cleaning up damaged cells and damaged proteins and damaged DNA. So cell autophagy is a word that gets thrown around a lot now with intermittent fasting and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of these different proteins are responsible for in the body, as well as a whole bunch of other things like immune system function. So the theory behind it, and it's not proven yet because we just haven't studied it, is that by activating these things more regularly, they're going to be better at doing all the other things.
How much of the strength and conditioning piece is still going on? I know everyone's at a gym right now, but what do those training programs look like in relation to using the pool, heat and cold, and the breath work?
Regular strength and conditioning is a big part of it. Our pillars are breathe, move, recover. And movement to us is pool training, but it's also foundational strength training. It's also different types of energy system development. So when we do our daily training, we have it set up where it's really kind of an entry level. We have it's free on our website, and it's an entry level where people, if they just want to see what XPT is about, they can follow along with this, and they'll get 2 days a week in the gym that's primarily focused on strength training. They'll get 1 to 2 days that's more that's intensity days, and that can be low intensity aerobic work, high intensity interval work, anything across that spectrum. They'll get nature workouts, and then they'll get exposure days, and we can kind of piece all those things together. So it's a huge part of it. Yeah. And it's something that we don't teach a ton at the certification because we're not taking a stand and saying that you should exercise this way. Yeah. What we're saying is if you exercise that way and that's what you love, if you love CrossFit, you probably should also do some maybe agility work because you're doing a lot of sagittal plane stuff. If you want to be the most versatile and resilient person possible, then you need to understand that there's 10 different buckets here. Yeah. And you need to understand that your favorite one is probably great. We love yoga. We love endurance running. We love CrossFit. We love powerlifting. They're all pieces of the puzzle. Yeah. But if they become the only piece, you're going to sacrifice your versatility.
We've got kind of two pieces, what we're here for, the experience and then the certification. How did you guys start to roll that out and present this to the public?
I would say is too important
Yeah.
for people to at least not have access to make their own decision. And so at the end, we want to be able to expose it to so that they can come and experience it and be like, actually, yes, that's what I need.
Even if they come away with the breathing
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
perfect. And now
Or the
what
heat
we're
and
seeing
ice,
is
it's like-
people are doing like ice parties where their friends come every
Yeah.
once a week and everybody
Yeah.
brings ice.
Food.
People are getting together. It's what you liked about CrossFit.
Yeah.
It's actually a time for people to say, "Hey, you want
It
to get
is.
together."
Yeah.
And that when we talk about this puzzle, these pieces of self-care and wellness and happiness, that is a very big piece.
I think it's a paradigm shift. It's something that I heard from Gabby when I first came up here, and I've been telling it to everybody, is just her kind of approach to community, which is what could be a better way to spend your time with your loved ones than taking care of your health.
Yeah.
So it kind of changes that mindset of like, hey, we can get together and train in the pool and hang out in the sauna and catch up. We don't have to go to the bar and, have 8 drinks just for the sake of getting together.
When you're piecing together the certification, though, because coaches are going to be going out and taking these concepts and applying them, how do you build that curriculum? So taking somebody that's never been here and then walking out with at least some of the tools to be able to help others in this process.
Really, the goal of the certification is to give them the principles.
Yeah.
Teach them the principles. What is the breath work rooted on? What are the foundational components of all the different methods? People want to know, what was the breathing Laird did this morning? And I'm like, that's not the goal. The goal is understand. I want you to be able to listen to Laird's breathing, go, okay, this is what he's doing. This is what's happening physiologically with those people. If you can understand that, you can create your own breathing sessions, your own practices. So that's the goal. So it's a lot of foundational theory to understand the principles and then practical application. Now let's get together and let's coach it. And I was like, that's a really cool drill. And I told Laird, he goes, that's XPT.
Yeah.
We need to start doing that stuff. So it's ever evolving. So we want these people to understand the foundation, the principles, the philosophies, and then continue to change it and evolve it. Not like, here's our structure, you coach it this way, or it's not XPT.
If you are an athlete, if you're a CrossFitter, if you are looking for the next phase of your training, make sure you get to xptlife.com.
Aloha.
Let us into
Thank
your
you.
home
Yeah.
Thank
to do this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we will be doing a lot more with these guys in the future. So see you guys next week.